Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this free recap video we're going to talk about a really important concept in the chat room that really is the touchstone for everything we do, and that is that we have to start with the market trend. We have to begin every trade, every inch of analysis that we're going to do with understanding what the market trend is of whatever symbol, including whatever time frame we're trading. So I want to key in on the Dow and the S&P first and talk about, number one, why I think we're down from a technical perspective. Not the narrative about that perhaps the Chinese story just doesn't have enough structure yet for the bulls to continue to rally the market, that we just don't know enough yet. So of course uncertainty is hitting the sell button. And then the other part of it could be, again, the narrative we're hearing a lot of today, even though it's an older narrative, and that is the yield inversion, the yield curve inversion. Again, I think those are all really good reasons for traders to be nervous about wanting to be long the Dow, but let's take a step even further back from that and talk about market structure and how the market structure in many ways reflects a lot of the concerns and the levels of optimism and the levels of, say, pessimism that the market can have. It's off resistance, right? It's off resistance that we see the pessimism shift. And it's quite frankly then off optimism that we see this shift right here. It's off resistance here for the pessimism shift. It's off support for the optimism shift. So when you're dealing with a market that's stuck in a range, as this one is, this is much more classically considered what Charles Dow would call distribution. I'm using a 100-year-old market theory from Charles Dow, and it still works. 100 years later, it's going to be the first best step any trader can take. What is the underlying market trend? It will dictate the strategy. It will dictate the tools you use, and that's going to keep you understanding why it makes perfect sense that pre-G20 the market would rally from this level, and post G20, just like we exhausted before, the market would exhaust. Now, my only disappointment with the G20 was that it didn't trade up higher to give us a much more convincing short sell before inevitably it traded lower. And why do I say inevitably? Because this is distribution and this is overbought. Just that simple. Now this is a technical read, right? Now let's talk about another market. You might say, okay, this only works for equities and choppy markets. No, let's talk about a completely different market. Let's switch gears and talk about the long dollar Canada Forex position, which is also a short FXC ETF or a short Canadian dollar futures position. And the way this works is, in this case, market trend being the first thing that I'll consider, this is, when I look at where we are here, this is a pullback within the context of an overall uptrend. How do I know that? I have a number of things working for me. Green grab candles, consistent support at the 34 EMA wave until we finally get right here, after a pullback, we get our opportunity to buy, and that's really what we have here, our opportunity to buy. Now, what's the market structure here? It's an uptrend. I'm not looking for overbought and oversold chop. I'm looking for support after a correction, and it's into that corrective support. Okay, so here's my correction. So it's after that corrective support that I'm looking for a rebound to the upside, and today we took some profits on this first leg of the move higher in dollar Canada. All right, so notice different strategy, different market structure, right? And if you use that market structure, all of a sudden you know the difference between when you want to get short and when you actually want to buy. And then, you know, this is really an emphatic example, but, you know, same thing here. When do you want to get short, right? Up at the overbought resistance here, right? When do you want to get short versus, of course, when do you want to buy? All right, so I hope that helps. Markets are closed tomorrow. Chat room will be closed tomorrow, but I look forward to seeing you all on Thursday. And, you know, I don't mention this very often because, you know, I figure you guys know where to find me and the rest of the crew here at Simpler Futures. Neil, myself, and David, three folks taking you through the trading day every day. And you can head on over to simplerfutures.com. Go ahead and test drive this for a month. Grab a trial. You'll learn a lot about what we're doing. You'll get the trades that all three of us are talking about. So I look forward to seeing you on the inside. I'll see you in the next update.